regular monthly meeting, and I'd like to welcome everyone and thank everyone. Welcome Corporal Weatherby, thanks for coming, and everyone else here tonight, thanks for coming. We acknowledge the land upon which we gather as the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq, and we pay our respects to the Indigenous Mi'kmaq people of this territory, past, present, and future. This is a time when, if anyone has a conflict of interest for any of the items we're going to be covering here tonight, to please declare so now. If not, we'll go on to approval of the agenda. The agenda is in your package, and are there any suggested changes, additions, or deletions to the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the agenda. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Jackson, seconded by Councillor McDonald. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone against? Motion carried. The minutes of our regular monthly meeting, 9th of October, are in your package. Any addition, and also, I guess, the public meeting minutes of October 8th, 2024 are both in your package. Any additions, deletions, or changes to either of those two sets of minutes anyone would like to suggest? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval of both those sets of minutes. Thank you, Councillor Cox. Thank you. Seconder? Oh, seconder. Thank you, Councillor McDonald. All right. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Those against? Motion carried. Business arising from the minutes. Is there anything in those minutes that we're not going to be covering here tonight? Anyone see anything in there that they would like to follow up on, or any of the no follow-up items? Nothing that we won't be covering here tonight?
I don't know if it's the proper form or the proper time. Just in terms of one of the items that had been before the public meeting, it won't be proceeding to consideration at this point in time. I'll just indicate that for the record, that just so if people are following along with the agenda package, it's there, the public meeting. However, the item for consideration is still, I'm going to suggest, under consideration and under review at an application level. So not going to see that for a decision tonight. Councillor Glan asked me to reach out to some of the concerned citizens who had attended the public meeting. I did so, I believe, yesterday. And I know both councillors, Glan and Jackson, have been in very regular contact with those people. Just wanted to bring that to your attention.
And I think this points out the exact reason for a public meeting, so residents can bring any issues to the attention of council for their consideration, and council will consider it over whatever period of time it takes to ask the developer to address those issues before it proceeds to council for approval.
Absolutely, and I think you're going to see later on in the planning heritage portion of our agenda that we had one such item that had been up for a deferral, and I think you're going to see the fruits of what can happen when we have that time. Bring it back, get some more input from the developer, get some more polish on it, and then to address those concerns. So certainly, I agree with that, Mr. Mayor, and looking for a better product for hopefully everybody at the end of the day. Ultimately, it'll come to us for a decision, and we'll see if that improvements have been made, I guess.
And it's always great to see citizens involved in the business of the town and given their input. Makes the town a better place. Okay, any other business? Sorry, go ahead.
Just to comment out and further with Jeff, there was great. This communication level is that with the corresponding with the residents there, we probably, I say maybe little correct. Be probably put a little, probably approve it a little bit. Like, I guess everything goes through planning. The Jeff and Sharon, and it's just people are concerned. We had residents are concerned there about the decision. And I guess that, there's really concern, like people are really just wondering what's going on with two groups there, with the condo association and the Autumn Lane Association. So there was just two groups, large groups there. So, and eventually Jeff spoke to them yesterday by email, and we just wanted to follow up with the residents because they're very important to.
Yep. Close the loop, yeah.
Keep them in the know, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what
Yeah.
the part, and that's
That's
the
good.
part
That's good.
you know,
Yeah.
and it's, we got to realize that with all these changes, the official plan, there's a lot of pressures. There's a lot of pressures,
Yeah, and
you
I
know,
think- I
on
think
both
that-
sides, like council, residents, and so on. So we just gotta, we gotta be, sort of be upfront. Not up, we're always upfront, but maybe contact a little sooner.
I
you know.
think that's a very good point. I think the fact that when people raise a concern, you have
Yeah.
to close the loop and make sure that concern is considered and in some way addressed, either positively or
Yeah.
at least the information gets back to the person who raised it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Thank you.
I don't know the process, this is my second term, is the process go through planning with Dale and Phil first, and then maybe some correspondence to the counselors, or Jeff, you know, meeting with chair? It's just a sort of communication level. I know that's what I was sort of, we're sitting back, right, Jody? And as a residents, and we just wanted to sort of fine tune that, right?
Yeah. You know, Mr. Deputy, I don't think there's never anything untoward about a counselor responding to a citizen request for information.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, certainly our staff are here and they're very more than capable of giving us the information that we need, helping us communicate that to citizens. But I think from, you know, from the point of contact, like, reach out.
Yeah.
Reaching out to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. I just think in the future, that with our big decisions, that we're just going to be probably, this one was maybe probably contacted Phil, and Phil was dealing with it, and then probably we weren't included, I guess, as counselors, and just we sort of, just, everybody's busy, and everybody's doing their thing, and people, some have full-time jobs, you know, and stuff like, and that, so I just want to, just to probably bring it in, you know, bring it in there, and, because we're always, everything's, like, nothing behind, like, everything's up front here. Like, it's totally transparent, like, you know what I mean? And it's just, I don't want to have that issue behind, you know.
You want to keep everybody in the know.
Yeah,
Everybody
sort
needs
of,
to know, yeah.
with big decisions, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, it's not hard to call me in or the counselors and call people in and look at the decision made. I mean, I myself went to planning and found out the decision myself there. It was great, and planning did a great job with their planning committee and everything else, and I just wanted to, and I sort of, where do I go next? I didn't want to jump over anybody, and, like, I want to talk to Jeff as chair of planning. Do I talk to Dale? Do I talk to Phil? Or, you know, I mean, where do I move from there? Because the decision was made, right? So I just looking for a direction, that's all.
Yeah, I think it's sort of, do you have something, Councillor Jackson?
Yeah, and I do agree with Deputy Mayor. The other part of this is we have a number of planning items on at any one time, and you know, we do have public meetings to bring people up to speed on where we're at with things, but I do agree there's a balance, though, that's needed to respect the developers and potential developers out there. I don't think it's staff's responsibility to advise folks of everywhere, every part of the process. They maybe come back with some questions, and you know, we do have some groups that are more engaged than others. And some that maybe, you know, have submitted lots of things, and we do get their kind of feelings on it. But beyond that, we have to respect the professionals we have, allow them to do the work. Again, we can respond back to folks to let them know where things are at. But there's clearly some lines on our role as councillors versus staff versus planning board. And so I think that complicates things a little bit, but I think we owe it to residents to tell them as much as possible, but also respect the developers, respect our staff, to give them the freedom to do the background work and come back to us when it is ready to do so. So if it's not right after the meeting that, or right the month after the public meeting, so be it. I think as we talked about past meetings, I think to come back with a plan that's, you know, well documented, well considered, and you know, with the facts in front of us, we can make a decision. So I applaud the folks for deferring that one. But you know, I think these could carry on for months. I think we will notify residents when it comes before council, and until that time, I think just stay tuned. I think we can't continually provide updates on you know, things under consideration until they get to our level.
Okay, good, all good points. All right, that's the business arising from the minutes. Are there any other items arising from any of the items we discussed previously? If not, we'll move on to presentations from the floor. Are there any presentations? No presentations from the floor. My report, it's in your package. I'll just go over a couple of highlights. I think, first of all, I want to really compliment staff on a really impressive Remembrance Day ceremony 2 days ago. I think that was really well done in really difficult conditions. I just want to thank them for all their efforts. And I also want to thank the RCMP. They had quite a number. I think it was about 10 or 12 members in red serge in the drive-in rain for the whole ceremony. And it was just a great example of commitment. And the volunteer fire department as well. They were there, and again, they stayed for the whole event. The cadets, you know, the people the cadets that stood around the cenotaph at a tent, you know, in those poses of mourning, like they were. I can't imagine how they did that for an hour or better. So it was a great test, and I think everybody passed with flying colors. Council as well. Every councillor was there. So really appreciate everybody's commitment to recognizing our veterans and thanking them for their service and recognize, you know, and remembering those who didn't come back. So thank you all for that.
Yeah, I think it went over really well, and this my second term, but with Melody, her first Remembrance Day, Melody.
Oh yeah.
With Melody, and did a great job with Rachel and Dwayne and the whole staff there. It was just, you know, and especially inside the gym and so on, it was a very compliments brought, like everybody was talking about it, and everybody stood the ground there and in the rain and everything else, but it was everything else just.
And it was staff from all areas too.
Yeah.
That pitched in, like there was.
And you hung in there in the front row. You were pretty damp, but there was I said that's good, but you look at it, you go back and say, you know, what they did for us, right?
Exactly.
It's just that's where you look at it, and it's. But it went over really well. It was really well organized, and the speakers and everything. It was really for an hour and a half or an hour 20 minutes where it was in and out. So it was great.
Yep. And yeah, I just want to recognize, you, Mr. Mayor, for getting to get it out there with no raincoat. So well done.
I've been wetter than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to also say that I thought you did a great job advocating for the town with respect to your appearances in the media, especially about the Wellness Center and the new junior high. Great to see, and I think it's good that we get as much coverage on that as possible to keep it, I guess, top of mind for the government for sure on both of those projects. Certainly hoping to see. Certainly when that junior high will go into the planning stage, although this is a great first step, and it's great to see you putting that out there in the media. So I think everyone appreciated seeing that.
Yeah, that's going to be our next challenge, is to make sure that there's follow-through on those commitments, because it is, and I don't doubt there will be. I just think it's something that we have to, you know, this council and maybe even the next council has to be very vigilant about the follow-up on those commitments. Yeah. Especially in these changing times, because I guess, you know, things are changing so quickly that, you know, this time next year could be a completely different environment for municipalities. So we're really looking forward to, you know, getting a lot of progress both now and into the future. Yeah, so I want to thank the Deputy Mayor and the councillors who went out to the opening ceremony of the new boardwalk, new waterfront Michael Thomas boardwalk. I think that was a great feather in the cap for the town. You know, thanks very much for doing that. I heard you spoke really well, and so appreciate you filling in for me there. Thank you.
Yeah, really well, and it's a beautiful. I mean, with the cooperation from three levels of government, from ACOA, the federal government, and the provincial government, and ourselves. So it's great to see it that Michael Thomas, and it's beautiful. It's unbelievable.
And again, staff did a great job. I know the CAO and others, they worked hard to make
Yep.
sure we got that funding and,
Yep.
you know, and that the construction project was completed and, you know, it
Yeah,
was
Jeannie
really
and-
well done.
Jeannie was involved, and Carter was involved, and all our staff. It's just, it
Yeah.
was just putting that together, and great comments.
I think also Councillor Chandler should be noted there.
Oh,
did-
the speaker.
Did a fantastic job emceeing that day, and
Yep,
Yeah.
I thought Councillor Chandler really,
that's right.
Yeah,
really
she's
brought it into perspective for everybody, and was really top for a game like usual, and she's emceeing, so I thought that was excellent. And it was nice to see the James family there also that day, as they inspected where the Harry James, you know, yeah, Zibo is going to be built, and I thought that was nice to have a chance to talk to them that day too, so, yeah, I just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, and I also want to thank Councillor Chandler for the emceeing the fundraising kickoff for the Wellness Center. And that was well done as well. I think the, you know, really want to thank the credit union for stepping forward with the $500,000 donation for the youth center. I think that's a really important step, and hopefully it'll prime the pump for more donations coming from other areas, other sources. So really looking forward to a successful fundraising campaign for the Wellness Center, and for hearing on the funding about the Wellness Center, hopefully soon with regard to the federal and provincial governments.
I think we're going to be in great shape there with Ray Murphy taking the lead, and him Dave Dunphy.
Yeah.
Ray
Oh,
was
yeah.
pumped up that night.
Two
He
great
was-
community members.
Yeah, Ray was
Yeah.
really pumped up that night. He knows how important it is to the community itself, so he just, it was great to have Ray speaking, and of course, Dave couldn't make it because of family, or death in his family there, so. But anyways, it's great presentation that night by Jill and so on, but great to see the, like, first funder, $500,000. That's, you know, that's a good check.
Yep.
And Metro Credit Union associated with the kids, the youth center, so it's really nice to see it.
Yep, it certainly was. There was also the Beautification Awards ceremony at the Performance Center at Holland College. Councillor Dowling was there. The representatives of the Youth Center, Heidi and Rosie, both received awards, 2 awards for the town because of all the great work they did. And the Youth Center for the Youth Garden, they received an award as well. So those 3 recognition awards,
Yep.
that's really shows a job really well done, and the commitment of youth to really making our town look so much better.
Yeah, well, this happened years ago when we hired a horticulturist, like Heidi started up with Rose and so on, and by Jeremy Crosby, Jeremy pushed that, and since we hired that, with Heidi and so on, and Rose, it's just been changing every year. It's just beautification's unreal, the job they do. Just turned this town upside down.
And I guess the other thing I should mention, the Andrews of Stratford Remembrance Ceremony on November 5th. I was also honored to lay a wreath at that ceremony as well, and that's a beautiful ceremony. It's every year the town, you know, we're invited to go down there and lay a wreath. It's really nice. And the other thing is, the last thing I have is one other thing I was going to mention. No. Anyway, it slipped my mind, but anyway, I'll think of it later maybe. But anyway, that's my report. Any questions or comments on my report? If not, we'll move on to Chief Administrative Officer report. I'll ask CAO Crosby to give his report.
My report is in your package, Your Worship and Council, but I'll go over just a few highlights. Attended a meeting with the Director of Finance and the Deputy CAO, and also in attendance were our solicitor and our representative from our accounting firm. We're discussing how to proceed with potential developments and future lots in the community campus, make sure we have our agreements set up properly. Participated in the Urban Mayors meeting. A lot of good discussion there on common themes amongst the urban mayors, and always look forward to that every year. chaired a meeting for the preparation for the committee social that's coming up on November 28th. Always a great night to recognize all our committee members, and always good food and good conversation. Attended the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency funding announcement, as the mayor indicated. It was good to see all of our funding partners there, including CADC, and really looking forward to the next phases of that project. And attended a meeting with the deputy CAO and a developer looking at setting up a manufacturing facility possibly here in Stratford. When we get the soccer fields all finished in the new community campus, there may be some additional land available in the business park, and we are getting some interest from some larger developers that are looking at manufacturing in the town, so creating more jobs. And attended a meeting with the deputy CEO also with a group looking at a recreational facility in the community campus. They really have their information together there, and I think they'll be a really good group and a good addition, so more to come on that. Attended a virtual session on the official plan, and that was with our committee members. More or less, I wanted just to sit in and hear what committee members had to say and what they thought of how the town should be shaped in the future, so a lot of good discussion there. And attended a meeting with planning staff and a consultant to look at stormwater management strategies for the town. With more and more development here, we have to make sure that we manage our stormwater properly, and we do need a little expert help on that. So we have a couple of consultants that are very good at that and giving us some advice. So lots of other meetings that were attended, but willing to answer any questions.
Just checking in, Mr. CAO, about how the search goes for HR staffer.
Yeah, we have about 30 resumes in. We're reviewing them now. I have to say that not as many qualified individuals as I had hoped, but more to come on that. But we do have applications that we're reviewing now and hope to have interviews very soon.
Councillor Downey?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just wondering if you give us, the council, a quick update on the status on their revenue sharing agreement negotiations with the province.
Still waiting for the report that's being prepared by MRSB. It was supposed to be released on October 31st. I do have it on my list this week to call FPIM, John Dewey, to see where that report is, because I'd like to have a look at it. Once we have that report in our hands, then we can I guess really begin negotiations. We've only had a couple of discussions, very minor, with the negotiator at this time appointed by the province. So looking forward to seeing that report. Our staff spent a lot of time filling out the information and providing all the items that are over and above what we normally have to look after here, and some of the added financial situations we get into. So that's where we're at. So hopefully we'll get that report this week or next.
I just ask because it's our hope that negotiations will be completed and money be forthcoming for this coming budget, lest we fall behind yet another year.
No.
And it's my understanding at this point, at any rate, the province hasn't indicated any desire for any retroactive reimbursement for amounts over and above what the current agreement allows for.
Yeah, I haven't heard that exactly, but I agree with you that time is of the essence for us to be prepared for upcoming budget deliberations. We're already setting up meetings for that now. Kim sent out about, I think, 10 meetings coming up in the near future for budget, so we do have to have that information sooner than later. Any other questions?
Just, I have a question there on the legacy fund. Where are we at with the legacy fund there for the Canada Winter Games?
Still waiting to hear back. Jeremy Pierce might be able to add more. Just waiting to hear back.
Yeah.
Yep, we're hopeful.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move on to Safety Services. I'll ask the chair of that committee, Councillor Jody Jackson, to give us a report.
Thank you, Your Worship. Some highlights from our October 21st Safety Services Committee meeting. We had an update from the fire chief on Provincial Fire Safety Act that is hopefully going to be passed this year. So how that would impact us as a town is we would, wait until the Fire Safety Act is passed and then look at whether we want to develop a fire prevention bylaw. So that would enable us to have a little more stringent controls over barbecues, electric bike storage, things like that. So we'll stay tuned on that. If there's a need for it, we will look at that. One of the other things at our meeting, we had an update from the RCMP on traffic patrols. Had a busy month in September. Really strong enforcement in the school zones and high visibility there, and we do thank Corporal Weatherby and his team for that. We did have the provincial traffic unit set up for a full day in our town and issued a number of fines during their kind of focus initiative, which was great to see. Very positive and with the high visibility of not only our members but also the provincial unit, it's been really helpful. So we also had a chat about some parking issues on Briar Jones. I think the signs are going up soon, I think, Jeremy? Yep. Hopefully that'll kind of help alleviate some of the parking issues. We had some updates on some active transportation and street lighting initiatives that are forthcoming. And we had a good discussion on traffic. Obviously, it's top of mind for most of us here. But also just to give our committee a heads up on some planned infrastructure projects over the next few years. So just some roundabouts and different things that are going to impact the town. So, the good news is we're continually improving infrastructure. The bad news is we're going to continually improve our infrastructure and have traffic issues. But it is part of growing our town, and it is a necessary evil, I guess. I've seen a lot of feedback from folks on the Hillsborough Bridge and traffic issues, and I know they're paving today, and it is, unacknowledged, it is frustrating for a lot of folks on this side of the bridge. It's, obviously we're getting into the winter weather here, and they should be done soon, and I know we're pushing, and I thank your worship for continually pushing, and councillors as well, and our staff on trying to get answers and see that project through. But it is, that part of it I think is wrapping up soon. So you can see where it is going to be a good thing. It's hard to think about that when you're spending 40 minutes in traffic, but it's, if there was ever a better kind of supporting situation for our high school, junior high, and all those things, I think this is it. So we'll be thankful, and we got to remember as we consider being critical of government, we also have hundreds of millions of dollars here that they're pumping into our community. So this is one of those things that we will have to deal with, and we are appreciative of the investment. Any questions on that safety services meeting?
Just, I guess two things. Noting that with respect to the nuisance bylaw being amended, is that something that's in the work plan, or just something that they're waiting to see the provincial side of things being updated first before we take a look at changing that?
I might defer to Jeannie on that one.
Yeah.
Councillor.
Don't want to touch that. If I recall correctly, it was the fire chief who had brought that to our attention, and how we may want to look at how we address the barbecues on the patios and how those are concerns when there are issues or fires in apartment buildings and such like that. So it's something that we would consider. It hasn't been something that we were looking at amending, but it was a suggestion that he brought forward, that the city of Charlottetown, of course, have their own fire protection bylaw that they enforce, and that it might be something that we want to consider.
Okay.
So as he updated with the new one that the province is just updating, he just recommended that if we are going to consider taking that on ourselves, we may as well just wait and see what they put out, so that we can in line with that and find our basis. And if we want to be more stringent, like Councillor Jackson had mentioned, then we could base it off of that.
All right. Okay. Just while you're there,
Yep.
just I have one more question. And I just saw in the minutes as well that your discussion with the committee members about infrastructure plans on this side of the bridge as it relates to some updating around Glen Stewart Drive area, but also the potential right-hand turn lane. I don't remember if this was an infrastructure and safety services. It was, I don't remember which minutes it was.
It was, yeah, the safety services.
Yeah. So is that just, for lack of a better phrase, in a discussion phase right now, or is that, is there a work plan scheduled for that?
So that was me updating our committee based on the presentation we had from Stephen Yeo with the Department of Transportation back in June. I was doing my best to summarize the things that he went over with us then.
Okay.
So everything came from their plan. I can say that the roundabout at the Glen Stewart Drive and Stratford Road is planned for next construction season in 2025. He did note at that time that they didn't have funding for the roundabout at Rankin, Hopton, Bunbury Road, but they had, that's in their plans, in their 5-year plan. It's kind of a 5-year window
Okay.
to have all of these projects completed.
Okay. We can anticipate then Glen Stewart for next construction season.
Correct.
Nothing else really definite though at this point in time.
That is correct. I believe the phases were the roundabout at Glen Stewart Drive first, the roundabout over at Rankin Road second, and then they would take on the improvements in the intersection, which would include that designated right turn lane onto Stratford Road.
That would be last in their priority
Yes,
list.
yeah.
I got a quick question to tag on there. The talk about a roundabout down by the Blue Church, where you
Yes.
veer left there, obviously. Is there any talk about that going in? That's a very, I mean, it's not as dangerous as down by Rankin, but it's
Absolutely.
not far off. And I'm really scared that there's going to be somebody hurt very badly there. There's a lot of close calls there.
I can follow up. That was not part of the discussion when they did the presentation here, but I can follow up and see. We haven't heard any concrete plans for that, but I
Yeah.
can touch base and see if they'll share anything with us.
Yeah, I think that's something that hasn't been talked about enough probably, but it's something that really should gain some traction because it's a very, very dangerous corner.
But-
Very dangerous.
Yeah, But Jeannie, with the traffic, the way it's moving the bridge now, and we're always at, the large extent we have with it, but why wouldn't they do everything together with Hopton, Bunbury, and Glen Stewart, and the right turn? Why wouldn't they just do everything all at once?
At one time? Funding.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's the answer we would get
Like,
from them.
I remember we
That's a
did
large
our
amount.
transportation for the bridge. Remember they had a 2 or 3 year delay, and all of a sudden they come back and did it overnight. You know what I mean? The bridge, after transportation on the bridge.
Sure.
And that was, why they're on the bridge doing work, why not get it done? And finally took note and then got it done, I know. But I'm just saying, why would just, anyway, that's their decision, I guess.
Yeah, it's a lot about the funding. It would be a lot of disruption in various areas of the
Yeah.
town to take everything on at once, obviously. That's all I can tell you.
No, it's good they're thinking that way anyway. It's good that,
Yeah,
it's
no,
going
they
to
have a
happen.
plan. They have a plan
Yeah.
in place, and when it's all done, traffic flow will be much improved
Yeah.
between our side and the Charlottetown side of the
Yeah,
bridge.
I just think with the growth, where they're looking at it, it's happening so fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Traffic and people down east and so on, right, coming across. and-
Exactly. It's not just Stratford residents.
That's
It's
right.
everybody east of
East of, yeah.
Charlottetown.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
sorry,
Sorry,
Jeannie, can
Counselor.
I ask one question as well? Just in regards to you updating our those priorities, a while back, we all participated in, I think it was contributing our own ideas or input for our active transportation plan, and we were highlighting different traffic areas and problem areas. Do you remember that? Like, what group was that?
Was it our priority setting exercise? or-
Priority setting exercise? No, it was before.
Oh, okay,
It
sorry.
might
yeah,
have
our
even been
master
before
active-
that. I just remember like that there was groups and we sat at tables and we actually highlighted on maps, like this is an area, this is where, like, and we kind of detailed all that. I just wondered if that information, because it was a lot of input
Yes.
from various stakeholders,
Yes.
is then communicated through to the province as they set their priorities. Because it seems to me that some of the areas, like the Blue Church area, were significantly like, that the majority of people were like, this area, that we had those kind of concerns.
Yeah, so you're right, it was our update to our active transportation plan that we sat down and did that identification. And that plan has been shared with the province. And there were a number of projects identified in there that would be provincial projects and not town of Stratford projects for improvements for intersections and such. So yes, it has been shared with the province, absolutely. Can't say how much of that is being considered when they're looking at their work plans and budgets and planning their capital projects, but it's something that we need to keep following up on, and we will certainly do that.
Great, awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
The end result is the province control the road, so they have the final decision, right? So it's just, our input is great, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's great to, they see the problem right now, but they have the right, Stephen Yo, and like, look it up at Riverside Drive and so on, there's traffic interchange there, what they did there was a great job. People complained at first, and it was, turned it right over, but, hopefully everything works out, so at the end of the day.
Okay, any other comments or questions on the safety services committee
Actually,
minutes?
Your Worship, I do have, yeah, for the minutes, nothing more on that. And I think just to follow up on Janie's point.
Thank you, Janie.
The province does have priorities. Obviously, a lot of times they drive with ours, sometimes they don't. But I think a lot of like to Deputy Mayor's comment about the other one kind of being shelved and then all of a sudden brought back, they all have to be tendered separately, and so obviously they couldn't, if there was no budget funds there, they couldn't do it, but, in recent years, we were all aware of significant funds being allocated to highway maintenance and improvement, and so when those funds come, that's what brings some of those projects back to light, so rest assured, the Department of Transportation is always keep an eye on the evidence. We've seen that throughout the town around counts, car counts, and speed and everything like that. So they are making decisions that are the most impactful at the time. So if the Blue Church is one that's, I remember we were talking about it when I was on council before. Obviously, there's some bigger kind of fish to fry right now, but we'll keep that one on the radar. So all good comments from folks here on that, and safety is obviously a big concern for us.
With the roundabout here, they make in front of Sobeys there, that's a great decision, and with the good stuff, I mean, they come forward with a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, like
we
the
just got to
displaced-
wait and be patient. I know we're sort of.
I know, and this place left in, up by St. Peter's, like that really worked out, so we got to have a lot of faith in what they are planning, even though it doesn't seem like it when you're seeing it half done.
And for clarity, my comments weren't critical in any way.
Oh, no,
just to
no.
understand the process, because we did provide input,
Yep.
and just
And again,
understand how it works.
no, and it wasn't taken that way. It's the, with the province controlling and owning the roads, we are at their mercy. We can, make a case for those things, but they do it based on the best evidence they do have at the time. So those are the minutes. Call on Corporal Weatherby for the RCMP report, if I may. Thank you, Corporal Weatherby. Just some highlights maybe for the last month, or anything you think is pertinent for our council or our residents to know.
Yeah, over the month of October was a very busy month for us. Several other issues that I'll speak about. We had 286 occurrences, 138 traffic-related occurrences, which over 50% of our files through the month of October. We had, there was 19, we've been really trying to focus as much as we can on our selective traffic enforcement program files. We had 19 to 21 during the month of October, 4 check stops, 44 summary offense tickets, 31 warnings, and that's with the Stratford members and with the assistance of the provincial traffic section too, with their help. We obviously there's a lot in the news and whatnot, but during the month of October we had a couple of our seniors here reside in Stratford. There was a fairly brutal attack that was committed on them, so they commenced with attempted murder investigation. We had the assistance, the Stratford members were first on scene for both, and we ended subsequently over the day and a half period, 2-day period, we had a lot of resources come in with our L Division Major Crime Unit, our forensic ident section. We had assistance from King's District, we had police dog section in. So we subsequently arrested the 60-year-old male, Alan Wood, down in Vernon Bridge at his residence. Originally arrested for attempted murder. Since that, both of the seniors have succumbed to their injuries believed to be which occurred from the attacks on the attack by Alan Wood. Alan Wood, a few days after the fact, 2 to 3 days after the fact, while in custody, he had a medical situation, he had also passed as well. The attempted murder charges were stayed by the Crown prosecutor, and obviously since that, the investigation's obviously still ongoing by the lead investigators or the Major Crime Unit, and the files are still open as far as that, but upgraded to first-degree murder investigations. Both victims were known to Alan Wood, so we had a pretty busy, really busy week during that time frame. You know, it's not something that we really see in Stratford at all. So it's it was a busy that way, we had some reports here even recently over the 4 or 5 days ago, where on Facebook, on Ask PEI, there was starting to be some rumors that another senior was attacked and whatnot, and I can say that that's not. This was never reported to the police, like just over the last 5 days. So we had our media relations just put out on PEI RCMP just to put out basically an advertisement or just a notification that this believed misinformation, and so it's just one of them things, and so that was a very busy month. I may have missed some others. We had assistance from the provincial general investigation section with the RCMP too, and federal section. So almost every available resource helped out with those investigations, and like I said, it's still ongoing. So there's not a lot really more that I could comment on and discuss.
No, we really thank you for your update and thinking of the families involved and yourself and the members of all the groups of the RCMP and the investigators and different units that are involved. I know it's not easy, and we do appreciate the work you do. We couldn't do it. So again, nice also as well that the message went out there to kind of calm the fears of anyone who thought there might be another incident. I did see that on Facebook, and I'm glad to hear that it was not correct. So again, thinking of the families involved, local families here, and your members, and thank you for the work you do. Yeah, any other questions for Corporal Weatherby, respecting that? We don't want to get into that one too much.
I have a question that's very unrelated to what you've just said. And it seems almost insignificant, but I've noticed in other communities, there are different seminars being offered by RCMP members or possibly even retired RCMP members to educate seniors or different demographics on cyber security, safety, fraud, et cetera. And I wondered if that was ever something that could be a possibility here. I'm seeing more instances of that sort of stuff happening. Additionally, just online slander and defamation of character. Like there's just more things happening online that I think are impacting our residents, and I wondered if there's a way that we could offer any sort of education or where we'd send them.
If I might, on that,
Oh.
I think it's a great idea. There's a group, Councillor Chandler, called Community Legal Information. And they sort of specialize in doing just that sort of thing, these community presentations. I think it may be worthwhile for somebody to reach out to them, and it can be done in conjunction with the RCMP, but I think that's a pretty good idea, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yes,
I did.
I agree, Councillor. We have done some presentations. Corporal Gavin Moore with our media has been into the seniors' homes here as well. I've done one personally too,
Okay.
just to discuss the fraud scam calls and whatnot. Now, it wasn't anything we have an exact presentation on, but it was more to sit down with a group of the seniors
Right.
to discuss it and things to look for and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the RCMP would be more than willing to get on board with that, and maybe as well with the,
Yeah, because I'm seeing it,
Councillor McDonald,
that
so-
obviously seniors are a vulnerable population, but also our youth, and there's parents that could benefit from more education on things, and yeah, it just seems that those instances are increasing, and it'd be great to educate, make it aware, like, make that stuff available to people. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, I just seen on Facebook, another resident today talking about the Bell scam where they, one that some folks I'm connected to were, caught up in as well, where they're trying to get you to give access to your computer. And so I guess just a basic message to the seniors and all our residents out there, if something's too good to be true, it probably is. And if it sounds like it is, if you're not expecting someone at your door, don't feel obligated to let them in, unless it's RCMP, of course. But just to, if something seems suspicious, if you're worried about it, maybe give the RCMP non-urgent number a call. There's a lot of it still kind of kicking around our neighborhood, and seniors just happen to be very trusting and usually are the ones who are kind of the focus of those efforts. So again, thank you, Corporal Weatherby, for all your work and continued service to the community, and great to have your members. Thank you to your members out in large numbers on Remembrance Day, as well as fire company, the cadets, the veterans on parade. It was nice to see such a show on such a wet day. And Mrs. Weatherby did a great job of the event. So
Yeah,
thank you for that.
Yeah, just one small comment. I know different seniors were saying that if they see a 902 on their phone, they'll answer it because they know it's a local call. But that's something the scammers are doing now, is they put 902 before the number. So just very simple things to let seniors know that. Just because it's 902 doesn't mean that it's actually from PEI, or from the Maritimes. And I think, like Councillor McDonald said, a joint venture between the organization, he was saying there, and the RCMP, I really do think we need to get more information. And to tie that in with programs like Compass, where Compass should have people on there talking about this and let them know where their next presentation is going to be, and really start to push it forward. I like to see this something that, especially this is a great time in November or January or February, in months where there's not as much going on, where we can get some organizations to get the word out there, kind of thing. So it's something we need to put a little more effort into, because the scams are getting worse and worse. They're coming all the time. So
Wendy's.
Yeah, I just, so you're aware, I had a meeting with Scott Ferris this week, or maybe the very end of last week, I guess. And through the PEI Association of Chiefs of Police, I think I said that right, there is a little bit of funding, and they are looking at partnering with some municipalities to do some of the stuff that we're actually talking about. So they're in initial stages of planning some of that, but it's definitely being talked about elsewhere.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
Great. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Corporal Weatherby. Anything else for Corporal Weatherby while we're?
No, not necessarily for Corporal Weatherby, but just touching on some comments he made. I don't know if everybody's aware that in relation to our contract with the RCMP for essentially core services, that brings with it access to a lot of other resources throughout the organization: emergency response, traffic unit, forensics, all kinds of things that a community our size independently wouldn't be able to provide. But through our contract with the RCMP, we have access to, particularly when we need it in relation to critical incidents such as you spoke of earlier. So we're
we're
very appreciative to have
very-
all of
very fortunate.
those resources. Yeah.
Thank you, Corporal Weatherby.
I just would like to comment if I could. I just want to thank Corporal Weatherby and the RCMP for their response to those two murders, because I think that that individual may have had other people on his mind to go after, and I think by rapidly being quickly arrested may have prevented other situations from happening. So thank you to yourself personally and to all the members for the work they did, not only in that file but all the files. I think the responsiveness is really great. I think it's just second to none. I think it's been and the commitment to Stratford by the RCMP is very impressive. As Councillor Jackson mentioned, the parade at the Remembrance Day ceremony, to have all those members in red serge stand out there in the driving rain for an hour, that's commitment. So thank them on my behalf, please, because and yourself personally, because that's great. We're getting great service, and we're really appreciative of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you, Corporal Weatherby. I'll quickly move on. Humane Society reports in the package, just kind of a standard month there. I'll move on to, unless there's any questions, move on to transit. Again, great numbers in October, averaging 326 riders per day. Continuing to see good growth there. I think we're 5 months in a row over 300 average. So, yeah, great to see the adoption of that, and we'll continue to grow as we can. Again, Deputy Mayor, we're aiming for more Ward 3, but we are patient, and we'll get there. The fire company, just briefly, so 16 calls in October, most of those within Stratford. A lot of fire alarms. Again, fire alarms, 3 with no fire, 1 cooking alarm, 1 accidentally tripped, and 1 malfunction. 3 motor vehicle collisions and 1 crash detection alert. That's we're seeing that a bit with especially iPhones, where it may fall off your, thank you, Corporal Weatherby, it may fall off your seat on the floor, and you have, I think, 20 seconds or 15 seconds to have it not call first responders. So just keep an eye on that. But it's a nice feature to have. We did 4 fires, so a couple of brush fires, a miscellaneous, and a car fire. Again, 2 medical first response, and we'll continue to see CO2 alarms going off. So this year we've had a few incidents where there's been significant CO2 buildups in homes, and so just remind folks as you get ready to turn the furnace on, if you haven't already, make sure you get it cleaned by someone who's certified in it, and make sure everything's in good working order. Councillor Chandler, you had a question? Nope. Okay. Any questions on the fire report?
And this may have been rumor or whatever, but I understand that there was a generator on a balcony in an apartment building that caused I don't know if it caused a fire. I don't know if it happened. It may have happened in November, since this was just for October, eh?
Yeah.
So you haven't heard anything about
I don't
that?
I don't see it on here. Although there's a miscellaneous, I'll get more information on that, Your Worship. But yeah, it's something that would be of concern to the fire company for sure.
Yeah, people have generators on their
Yeah.
apartment balconies. It may be something that, and if they're not running, this particular one apparently wasn't running, and I don't know if it caught fire or
Oh, wow.
if it, or what happened, but that's
Yeah.
my understanding. And like I say, I'm hearing this secondhand,
Yeah.
so this is relayed to me. But
No.
I just thought I would mention that.
That's important. Thank you for that. And that would be one of those things, to Councillor McDonald's question around, I guess back to the nuisance question, it was around the role of the fire chief in a lot of these things with, and the role of the fire company in kind of determining whether we want to be more stringent on things such as generators, barbecues on balconies. Like I said, they're seeing more risk around electric bikes that catch a fire and are really very intense fires. So some of those things we're going to keep an eye on. We'll come back to Safety Services and to Council on those. Just a last thing on here before I go. Remembrance Day, just wanted to thank my father-in-law, Rob Campbell, who's a retired Army member, well-known, I think, to Mayor Ogden and Mrs. Ogden, and my sister, Jeannie Riding, who's currently active duty in Hawaii working for the NSA, so she's a Canadian working for U.S. National Security Agency, and I'm proud of her, and so she's almost a retirement age, couple more years, so haven't seen her Remembrance Day very often, but I'm happy I think she's coming back to Halifax next year and retiring soon. So I'm proud of them both and thank them for their service. And that's it, Your Worship.
Please thank them for their service on behalf of me as well, because I didn't get a chance to thank your father-in-law personally, but he's a great guy.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. And that's my report.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for your report. Okay, we'll move on to Recreation, Culture, and Events. Councillor Chandler is chair of that committee. I'll ask her to give her report.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. The Recreation, Culture, and Events Committee met on October 24th. We discussed multiple events happening in the community campus update, program updates as well. In regards to the Stratford Community Campus, as we've already highlighted, the town hosted the Stratford Community Campus fundraising launch on Tuesday, November 5th at Fox Meadow. The event included details on the planning of the campus, fundraising initiatives, while also announcing the provincial credit union support of the community campus. And we were able to discuss, we're working with provincial and federal government to help fund the project. And again, a special thanks to Ray Murphy and David Dunphy for leading the campaign. Stratford Youth Center and Council hosted another successful Spooktoberfest weekend. And just in regards to updates, the trick-or-treat trail had 262 children participate. The Haunted Trail ran over 2 evenings and had a total of 208 people participate. In total, over 50 youth members volunteered to execute the weekend. Additionally, there was a home decoration contest that had 8 properties registered with prizes for first, second, and third. Right now, the Youth Center has 78 active youth members. There's probably going to be another registration open in January if we can accommodate more youth. There is the upcoming Youth Center raffle beginning on November, I guess it's already started. Members will be selling tickets for a chance to win $500 in gift cards just before Christmas. Tickets are $5 each. I'm sure you're all going to buy a whole bunch. The Youth Center Drama Club has been working hard in rehearsals for the production of A Christmas Carol, and that's going to run for 4 shows, December 13th through 15th. Events, as we've already discussed, the Remembrance Day service had a really great turnout. Lieutenant Colonel Moriarty, I thought, was a fantastic speaker with providing really concrete and factual information that people could relate to. And I couldn't help but think about, you know, veterans, the impact that their absence has in communities. I loved that all the youth were participating. I love that the youth were involved in the service. And I think it's significant that we have that turnout and that we do see that multi-generational support for events like that in our community. I will also, and every time I have the opportunity, I will remind us that that is another example of a cultural event that happens in our town that connects people, you know, to history and also to one another. And this is the reason things like this are important when we discuss arts and culture. Town is preparing for the Light Up the Night Christmas celebration on Friday, November 29th, 6 to 7:30. So there's going to be a parade, tree and parks lighting. Last year's holiday event was a great success. I know this one's going to be even better, so we're excited about that. Also, there's going to be a March of the Elves Thursday, December 19th, and this is sweet, at St. Andrews of Stratford. So Glen Stewart Grade 2 Choir, led by Lisa McDonald and Elizabeth McLean. 50 to 60 Grade 2 kids dressed in colorful clothing will be Santa's helpers and bringing little small gifts to the seniors and singing for them. So I think that is incredible and obviously mutually beneficial for the kids and the seniors that get to experience that. Programs, winter programs are currently being finalized with registration set to open December 1st. Gymnasium is operating at full capacity, and the Kids Hub, with reports, I guess, has gone off, like the addition to that program has been relatively seamless. And as we know, the program uses half the gym, and full stage from Monday to Friday at 2:30 each day onward. So yeah, that's a brief update there.
Wow, what a lot of activity. That's incredible.
There is
Yeah.
a lot of activity, and I feel like I had something else to add to this, and now I'm not remembering. It'll come to me. Anyway, I apologize. Does anybody have any questions in regards to that report?
Just where's the Christmas Carol going to be at?
Yeah.
The Christmas,
The youth center production for a Christmas Carol?
I think it's going to be at the Emergency Services Center, so they've done
Okay.
another show there where they kind of split the.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yes. Oh, and I know we've mentioned this, but just to highlight the committee event on November 28th to thank our volunteers and committee members. That was a lovely and it is a lovely event, so we want to make sure that people are aware of that and that our committee members come so we can say thank you.
There's always really good food and great atmosphere, and it's a really nice evening, so I'd encourage everybody that's able to attend.
Yes. Oh, and I just want to say one other thing. This is just my observation. In regards to the credit union, the provincial credit union coming on board with the community campus investment, I think it's incredible, and it was so great to see. And I also think that that speaks to the value, like the investment in our youth and in this space, and that business, that organization sees that value, and we all do, because there's going to be so many people and families and different folks through that space. So it's wonderful to see them come on board, and I know there's going to be so many other businesses come on board because we will connect them to, our community, our youth, and potential, clients and eyeballs and all that sort of stuff. We're going to have a big space there with a lot of people, a lot of moving parts.
I really want to commend you for your leadership on this file, on the recreation file, and the recreation staff, because the cultural side of things is a really difficult one to have front and center, and you've done that, and the recreation group have done that, and the events coordinator, everybody has been working together, and I think now it's really showing that it really is a really meaningful part of the recreation program, the
Well,
whole arts and
thanks.
culture.
I have to commend the staff. It's the staff. It's the staff.
Well, I know
They're-
you've been beating the drum on arts and culture for quite a while, and so that's leadership. So thank you for that.
well,
And it is staff. Yeah, you're right.
It is staff, and I will beat the drum, but I think it's more of an education piece, because I think that if we just hear the phrase arts and culture, and we don't necessarily understand how broad that umbrella is, and that it is a huge piece that connects us, even when we look at the success and the beautification of our town,
Yeah.
and what that does to, develop roots and have people like, it's all significant. So
Yeah.
these things, we can just kind of pass them by, or when we realize, like, oh, that's all part of that umbrella. It is what makes us, it creates pride and connectivity in our town. So I'll continue to
Yeah.
beat the drum.
No, thanks a lot.
Okay.
Thank you. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, I just want to comment, Councillor Chandler, your Recreation Department did a fantastic job there on Remembrance Day, and with, like I said earlier, Melody's first Remembrance Day function, and organizing it with Rachel and Dwayne and so on. And a shout out goes to Richie Bulger.
Yes.
Richie, like the speaking system worked out really, really well. And then Debbie Reed, who did the speaking, but Debbie did a fine job. And I mean, I don't know, I was always thinking maybe we could look at the future, budget time, could we put a canopy or around, like over somebody, and if she was speaking, and some protection from the rain, and I don't know how we look at that, but something just to protect them and Richie, but the bugle and the bagpipes and everybody down that corner did a fantastic job and made the Remembrance Day remarkable, and it was really nice. But the shout out that goes to Richie there, and Gordy said earlier with the speaker system and so on. And it's communication was really good this year. It was really great.
Yeah, no, it was really, really great. And it was neat too, and I've praised Melanie, or, you know, as often as I can, because I think she's doing a great job.
Yep.
But you can actually see her on site, on events, and she is not sitting back. She is actively managing that event in every stage, from who's moving to whatever. So I love watching her in action. She is engaged and on it, and everybody was. So, yeah, a big thanks.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Jackson.
Just one last thing, while Jeremy's standing up. Pierce, I just want to thank him. No, it's just a thank you for all the work leading the charge on the campus, and great to see a long-time business such as Credit Union having faith in Stratford and putting down roots for a number of years, again, with their contribution. But it speaks to the work done by our staff, especially Jeremy, on kind of guiding this project as we go. And I mean, like, that's a significant amount of money. It's the first of many contributions, but I do want to thank you for that, because it's, you know as well as anybody, and probably more than any of us, the challenges and the costs and everything that goes along with the project, even, you know, a quarter as big as what we're planning here. And so the fact that you haven't ran away already just shows your commitment, and it is impressive. And I think on behalf of the other councillors, I think we're really thrilled with how it's going, and excited for what's next.
Yeah, and on behalf of me too, I think I echo those comments. I think Jeremy Pierce has led the charge on the fundraising, and he's the Director of Recreation, and so he's instrumental in a lot of the things that are happening, positive things that are happening in the town. So thank you very much for that, Jeremy.
I appreciate the comments, but I do want to acknowledge that I think everybody in this room has played an important part in this. It's not, it's something that I work on a daily basis, but I know Jeannie, Wendy, Kim, the planning department, Jeremy Crosby, our CAO, everybody's involved. It's a real team effort, and I think we're real fortunate as well. I mean, you have council that supports this initiative. It's a wonderful project for our town. It's going to be transformative, legendary, game changer for us all. And I also want to thank, and I know I thanked them that evening, David Dunphy, former mayor, and Ray Murphy. They're two selfless individuals who commit a lot of time and energy for this project because they see the vision and the future of our town. So thank everybody.
No, thank you. Thanks for those comments.
This goes way back when Robert was MCO, where the purchase on the land, how we thought, thinking forward, and then once the land was purchased, then everything sort of moved forward, and it's a lot of work behind the scenes, and Jeremy and so on staff, and it's a lot of work, but it's coming. Hopefully, it's coming together, and every interest of the federal government, provincial government, and of course our fundraising committee, and else, and I think Minister Burry said it was we've got to provide amenities for Stratford residents. We got to provide those, those like a sports recreation wellness center for our residents. So it's needed. So it's a great opportunity this time, and moving forward with the land purchase and the two schools going on there, and this wellness center coming together. It's just. And the assistance from Ray and Dave and everything else it's really exciting.
Yeah,
it's very exciting. It's just when they start as you see the school going up now, the senior school, and then with the junior school now, they made an announcement. We're putting 2 years ahead, but I mean, Mr. King made an announcement last election, before his election, that there were going to be junior high school over here, and I believe that. So I'll take his word. So for that, so the provincial government communicated and said there's going to be a junior high school over here, and it's going to be over here, and it's good, and we got to have it out here. So it's great to see. But the work behind the scenes and tireless efforts by Jeremy Pierce and Jeremy Crosby is it's unreal. Everything coming together, and the knowledge that Jeremy has from his hockey and everything else helps everything else too, with sports and so on. So we're lucky to have those two gentlemen on board, and plus the staff there. So
thanks for those
great
comments. Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you, Councillor Chandler. Any other comments or questions for Councillor Chandler? If not, thanks for your report. We'll now move on to Finance and Technology. I'll ask Councillor Ron Dowling to give his report. Chairs that committee.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just going to start by echoing people's comments in relation to the Remembrance Day ceremony. It's certainly a very important day of remembrance and reflection of sacrifices made, and express my tremendous appreciation for all of the people that were involved, from staff to RCMP, military personnel, our fire department, veterans, and perhaps to a very large degree, a tremendous appreciation to the youth that were involved in relation to the cadets, and also our own youth club members who were involved in the process throughout, from set up to tear down, for the ceremony itself, the reception afterwards. It's great to see youth involved. They are the future of the remembrance of the sacrifices that were made to give us the society that we have today. And it's all greatly appreciated, and it's greatly appreciated to have seen so many people out. Tremendous crowd, despite the very heavy and cold rain and wind that was prevalent throughout the ceremony. But it was a tremendous ceremony, and I'm very appreciative of everyone's involvement to make it happen. The Finance and Technology Committee regular monthly meeting was held on October 6, 2024. Your Worship, the minutes of that meeting are attached. If anyone has any questions in relation to those minutes, which had been previously circulated, we'll entertain those.
I think one of the highlights that I noticed was there was a discussion about the Rosebank active transportation priority that was established last year by this council, and there were questions asked about that. Can you, I know it's probably infrastructure or recreation, but from the Finance Committee's perspective, what was the gist of that discussion?
Well, we had a discussion in general on the Canada Community Building Fund, and the committee essentially accepted proposal from the staff and a listing of projects in accordance with the council's and staff's priority setting exercise that we held earlier this year. And the committee essentially was in agreement with that list. There is some adaptation to the list in accordance with requirements from the federal government, but there is a resolution forthcoming in my report.
Okay.
And that will express details in relation to the refined list. But essentially, yeah, it's projects that were detailed in order to use up the $5 million plus dollars over a 5-year period.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, no questions. I'll move to a brief report as submitted by Director O'Connell. The utility bills are due on November 12th, and we're reviewing the overdue accounts, and we may do another round of disconnects before the end of November if they're deemed necessary. Hopefully those matters will be resolved otherwise. Attended the AMA PEI annual meeting, and that's the Association of Municipal Administrators. Attended the ESRI presentation to get a demo of the rollout of our GIS system for next year, and that's the Environmental Systems Research Institute. Attended the FCM Base Scale-Up Support Program, finalized and submitted our Canada Community Building Fund application for our next 5-year allocation, which we were just discussing. Attended the CARI board meeting, reviewed the wastewater treatment agreement with the infrastructure director and the CAO, attended a virtual training session on GST for real property, attended meetings with groups interested in the community campus along with the CAO and deputy CAO, The financial coordinator, Daewoo Kim, developed a spreadsheet for managers to use to review budget versus actual up to the end of October, which is very important to have up to date. Attended Excel Level 3 course at Holland College. And of course, I'm referring to our director here, not myself. Jody Corcoran started as an admin assistant on October 28, 2024, and is settling in well. And we certainly welcome Jody to the team. Melanie attended the CAMA conference for admin assistants in Fredericton, and attended the launch of the funding campaign at Fox Meadows. It was an excellent job by Renelda helping with the organization of the event. And I understand she even did the centerpieces for all the tables.
Did what?
Did the centerpieces
Oh, really?
for all the
Wow.
tables, yeah.
Wow.
I was commenting on them, and someone said, oh, Renelda did all those up.
Wow.
So, yeah, tremendous job, very talented.
Yeah.
And staff remains busy with day-to-day items as well. The town income statement and the utility income statement are attached to the package, Your Worship, and if there's any questions in relation to either of those, we'll address them prior to moving on to the single resolution that I have.
Just wondering, Councillor Dowling, with the water connections, are we moving forward with the connection, like I know we raised I think from $75 to $150, was it, for the penalty for not hooking up to water to our town?
I think that's what.
Is that sort of closing the gap a little bit on the outstanding, some of our customers outstanding?
I'll let Kim answer. I'm not sure I understand your question, Councillor.
They increased the penalty for not hooking up.
Oh, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I suspect it might, but I'll let Kim give a more precise response.
We have, there has been some people that have connected due to the penalty fee, and there's a few customers that have an issue with it, but we're dealing with those one-on-one. Yeah.
That's great, thank you.
It is a high penalty to pay, but it's a safety issue as well. We want
Okay.
everyone connected.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Councillor Jackson?
Yeah, just wanted to welcome Jody Corcoran to the team here. I know fine member of Class 95, Charlottetown Rural, and a classmate of mine, I think almost every year from grade 1 to 12. Comes from a great Stratford family, and great to see her back here and working with the town, so welcome aboard.
Great to have her. Any other comments or questions?
Okay, move on to the resolution, Your Worship. Town of Stratford Resolution Number FT0011-2024, allocation of Canada Community Building Fund, CCFB, for 2024-25 to 2028-29. Stemming from the Finance and Technology Committee, moved by myself. Whereas the town of Stratford has an estimated $5,407,616 to allocate to CCBF projects for the next 5 years, 2024-25 to 2028-29, Canada Community Building Fund Program. And whereas the town of Stratford has an allocation of $5,348,385 in new funding from the 2024-25 to 2028-29 Canada Community Building Fund Program, and has earned interest in the amount of $23,231. Be it resolved that the $5,407,616 in available funds from the 2024-25 to 2028-29 CCBF program to be allocated to the following projects that were approved in the 2024-25 to 2028-29 5-year capital plan. Community campus sports fields and amenities, active transportation trail Rosebank Road, waterfront boardwalk phase 2, community campus wellness center turf field, community campus wellness center arena. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Finance Committee as discussed at a meeting held on October 16th, 2024.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Oh, thank you. Councilor McDonald. Okay, discussion.
Just happy to see, as you noted, Mr. Mayor, the inclusion of that active transportation trail on the Rosebank Road, vital part of getting that community connected to our active transportation network. So just happy to see that. Been advocating that for a while, so it's, from what I can recall, and I'll ask either Mr. Crosby or Ms. McConnell to confirm, the rollout of these proposed improvements is such that the Rosebank one won't land in the next fiscal, but the one after that, I believe, is,
That's,
yeah.
yes, that's correct. And
Yep.
the amount that we have is, we'll still have to apply for other funding to do the full,
Right,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, I think that's an important point, that there is really provincial, and is there also federal funding that's, this is federal funding, so there would also be provincial funding and town funding that would be allocated to this as well, if that's, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, like the gas tax funds is federal funding. For example, like certain projects are a lot more than what we have allocated in gas tax funding, so then to cover the balance, the town would have to cover it, or we would apply for other funding programs.
Right, thank you. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Just a couple
Councilor
questions. On the active transportation, could this money be leveraged against, if there's another kind of push for active transportation money, and that could, I'm just being wishful here, move it up. But, yeah, so that's great, Kim. The second one, the Wellness Center turf field, is that indoor or outdoor?
It's an indoor turf
Indoor,
field?
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? No more discussion? Okay, we'll proceed to the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried.
And that will complete my report for this month, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, we'll now move on to Planning, Development, and Heritage. Councillor Jeff McDonald chairs that committee. Give your report, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With respect to Planning, Development, and Heritage, as usual, we have a healthy spate of resolutions for our consideration here this evening. Prior to discussing those, I would highlight our building permit summary for the month, a relatively modest month for October of 2024 in comparison to last year's. Still on track, though, to really deliver an astounding year for development within the town, led, of course, by our institutional permit value in the form of a lot of very significant infrastructure being underway. That being said, commercial is still strong in the town. Great to see. It certainly, I've said it before, and it indicates a maturation of our town. Though I must say, certainly, with some of the comments about development in the town as elicited in comments written to the town, as well as at the public meetings that have been held in the month of October. And this is not a criticism, it's just merely an observation. Certainly, we must keep at the forefront that a great number of our residents move to Stratford with certain expectations in mind. And so it's, while some might say that we're off to the races in many ways, and I think we're always mindful of our responsibilities to grow the town in a responsible fashion, we always have to balance that against the needs and the desires of the citizens who live here currently. And well, I think this past month has been very instructive for us as a council, instructive as well for staff, that balance is not something that's easily found. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, and I just want to commend everybody around this table, as well as at the staff level and the community level, for really engaging in that process. And that's not a process that ever ends. And while we may have bumps in the road in the long run, I think what I would suggest is that we'll always bend towards progress, towards a better vision for our town. And so that's, I think that's the lesson I will say for development for the month of October, is that it's onward and upward. And with that in mind, I would turn to our first resolution, which is just such an example of that, this process of so-called onward and upward and the improvements that can happen with a good, healthy discussion. And that is number PH 029-2024, DP 136-24 from 9 Yard Studio, 255 Sundance Lane, PID 894519, an accessory building in a front yard. Those certainly, and before I read this, I'll just editorialize just a little bit longer here. Again, a minor subject perhaps, but again, I think this is going to be a good example of a development where there was a deferral and we've gotten a better product. And so the resolution moved by myself as chair of Planning, Development, and Heritage reads as follows. Whereas a revision to an application has been received from 9 Yard Studio on behalf of the property owner to place an accessory building, a private detached garage within the front yard of the proposed single dwelling to be located on PID 894519, 255 Sundance Lane. And whereas in accordance with section 8.1.2, council may issue a development permit for an accessory building located within the front yard of a lot where the town is satisfied the structure includes building design components such as building material, scale, and form that are consistent with surrounding development. And whereas the revisions to the proposed detached garage incorporate design elements and materials that are consistent with the proposed single dwelling. The proposed location of the detached garage has been revised to be more in line with the established buildings in the area. And the orientation of the detached garage has been rotated 90 degrees, so the garage doors now face the left property line, minimizing the required turning radius. And whereas the aforementioned revisions assist the detached garage in appearing as an attached projection of the single dwelling, which is consistent with the surrounding development and the recommended conditions of PH 025-2024. Be it resolved that approval be granted to an application received from 9 Yard Studio on behalf of the property owner to place an accessory building, being a private garage which is detached, within the front yard of PID 894519, 255 Sundance Lane, in accordance with the following conditions. 1, that the 10-foot wide tree buffer be maintained in a healthy growing condition, and, if damaged for any reason, be replanted within the first available growing season. 2, that all other relevant provisions of the Town of Stratford Zoning and Development Bylaw number 45 are met. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning and Heritage Committee as discussed at a meeting held on November 4th, 2024.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Jackson, thank you. Oh, sorry. I think Councillor Jackson got it first. Yeah. Okay. Got a moved and seconded resolution on the floor. Any discussion?
So I just might lead it, Mr. Mayor. So thank you for bringing up the site photos. I'll just ask to scroll down to the rendering of the new structure showing the changes. There we are. So what you'll notice, ladies and gentlemen, is prior to the deferral, what we had in this front accessory building was essentially a flat black surface which was facing the road. Stuck out a little bit, didn't really mesh with everything. I think they've done a really good job adding some architectural interest to the side of the garage facing the roadway now with the landscaping. And then if you go down to the next photograph as well, the rendering I should say, you'll note that they've placed almost like a fencing type structure to make it seem from the roadway at a minimum that this is all one continuous structure. You'll note from the site plans that they've moved the structure around such that it really does kind of fall in line now with the other structures to the left and the right. Really a good example of the applicants and the architects taking what the concerns were from planning to heart, really coming back with a much better product. So I think from my perspective, it really meets the requirements, I think, of our planning and development bylaw. And I think it's really going to be a good addition to that neighborhood. So I'm certainly voting in favor of the resolution.
Any other comments or questions?
Just very quickly, I agree with Councilor McDonald. It's a good example of some, I guess, degree of new thinking that we as a council and future councils will have to adopt to some degree as we enter into the significant changes in development that will take place in the community over the next 20 years. And we always have to be mindful of existing residents, existing neighborhoods, and quality of life that they enjoy. And this is a good example of staff working with the proponent and the proponent's willingness to recognize the necessity for change and willingness to make that change to, what's a very appealing project, and I support it, and I'm glad that it all worked out the way it did in relation to the proponent.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Comment too, same, concur with, you,
I agree with everything that's said. I thought it was gorgeous to begin with, and I know we had to work within the existing rules. It's equally gorgeous now, and I love what they've done, and also it's a wonderful demonstration of open lines of communication and the designers, you know, and applicants being willing to work with us, so, and us being open-minded. But it's beautiful, and obviously shows such pride in, you know, the plans. So I hope to see more and more things like this that are a little bit outside of what we're used to, but still contribute to the landscape and fabric of our community.
Thank you.
just concur with Councillor Chandler and Councillor Dowland. It's great work, and how we deferred it and looked at it, and planning, Phil and Dale looked at it, and with the architect, and it all came together, and it's a great plan. It's great how it turned out.
Yeah, and I compliment planning on this file as well. They did a lot of
Yep.
back and forth with the developer
Yeah.
and with the applicant, and I think that's the case in most of the applications we receive. Planning is the face of the department, and they're the ones that really carry the ball in terms of getting you know, everything in compliance with our official plan and with our zoning bylaw. So thank you for that. Well done.
I'd like to say one thing. I want to give credit to Sarah. She put a lot of hours on this and a lot of effort and a lot of good wisdom on this thing being worked together with the client, so thank you to her.
Yeah, we're lucky to have good planning officers on our staff, that's for sure. Sarah and Phil in particular, thanks. Okay, any other discussion? I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried.
Thank you. Next agenda item is number 12D, resolution number PH 030-2024, DP 153-24, from 102111 PEI Incorporated, doing business as Milestones, which is a Part 3 commercial building addition at 251 Mason Road. Comes from Planning, Development, and Heritage, and is moved by myself as chair of that department. Resolution reads as follows. Whereas an application has been received from 102111 PEI Incorporated to construct a 600-square-foot addition to an existing child care center on Lot 20-1, parcel number 776799, approximately 1.06 acres in total area, located at 251 Mason Road. Whereas the two-story 10-foot by 30-foot addition is proposed to be located on the north side of the existing building. The purpose of the addition is to accommodate a locker room for use by the existing children attending the center on the main level and open offices for use by the existing staff on the second level. And whereas the site currently contains surface parking for 29 vehicles, where the bylaw requires parking for the total floor area used for commercial purposes, typically excluding areas used for stairwells, bathrooms, and staff rooms, and where the addition will not cause an increase to the number of staff or children attending the center, no additional parking spaces are required for the addition. Whereas the proposed development is located within the Mason Road commercial zone, therefore must be designed in accordance with the Mason Road core area design standards. Plans for the development have been reviewed in accordance with the design standards and meet all relevant provisions applicable to the addition. Be it resolved that approval to an application received from 102111 PEI Incorporated to construct a 600-square-foot addition to an existing child care center on Lot 20-1, parcel number 776799, approximately 1.06 acres in total area, located at 251 Mason Road, in accordance with the following conditions. 1, conformance with the architectural drawings submitted to the town, prepared by Sable Arc Sustainable Design, Architecture and Design, project number 24063, issued for permit September 27th, 2024. And 2, all other relevant provisions of the Town of Stratford Zoning and Development Bylaw number 45 are met. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning and Heritage Committee as discussed at a meeting held on November 4th, 2024.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Councillor Cox, thank you. Okay, discussion.
If I might, and I might call upon either Mr. McKeegan or Mr. Ruff, I wonder if you could just provide council with a very high-level overview of exactly what it is about the Mason Road core area design standards that require this to come before council. Like, what is it about this that they couldn't do as of right, bottom line? And maybe, yeah.
Don't touch that.
Finicky mic.
Okay. So the reason why this is coming to council, it's actually nothing to do with the Mason Road, like the development standards. It's actually a Part 3 commercial building. So that's why it's tied into that. It falls in under that. And any additions or changes to those type of uses have to come up to council. So it's outside the scope of the development officers.
Thank you. That was it. I wasn't sure if it was the Mason Road area or the nature of the building itself.
Yeah, it's the nature of the building
Okay.
itself. So.
Great. Thanks.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? I'll call for the question
No,
then.
I'll
All
just,
those in favor?
see-
Oh, sorry.
No, it's great to see this business expanding with new business Stratford with the daycare center. And behind you see this rolling is the $10 a day childcare provided by the federal government. This is why all this stuff is happening. I know my grandsons are currently at this place, but the $10 a day, if it's feasible for operators and are making money and putting money back into the business. So I mean, that's where I see this with the federal government coming out with the $10. And I see how the daycares are expanding and getting professional people and license and so on. But this business here is expanding because of that program, and I just want to comment on the owners how they're moving forward here.
Yep. Great to see.
All right. Any other comments or questions? I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried.
Thank you. Our next resolution is Resolution PH 031-2024, permit-ready housing plans. It comes from Planning, Development, and Heritage, really under the auspices of our Housing Accelerator Fund initiatives, and is moved by myself as counselor and chair of Planning, Development, and Heritage, though I will certainly indicate a significant amount of effort by Mr. Scott Kernal, who's with us here presently. The resolution reads as follows. Whereas the town of Stratford is committed to addressing the housing crisis and ensuring that its residents have access to safe and attainable housing options. Whereas in 2024, the town successfully attained funding through the Housing Accelerator Fund established by the Canada Housing and Mortgage Corporation. The Housing Accelerator Fund is a funding initiative designed to provide financial support and resources to municipalities in developing attainable housing projects. Whereas the Town Council passed Resolution CW012-2023, Housing Accelerator Fund, to move forward with the identified initiatives designed to implement systematic changes to the town's planning and zoning bylaws to promote more housing developments and remove the inefficiencies and obstacles to diverse housing typology. Whereas the Town Council understands Initiative 3 of the Housing Accelerator Fund was to adopt a set of permit-ready housing plans that will reduce design fees and speed up application times for those looking to bring in missing middle housing types into the town. Whereas proposals were received on October the 11th, 2024 for the permit-ready housing plans, and whereas 3 submissions were received, one from Upland Planning and Design, one from Fowler Bald Mitchell Limited, and one from Formed Alliance Architectural Studio, evaluated by a team of 3 who ranked each submission out of a total score of 100 with the following results. Upland Planning, total score 90.1, for a total price of $223,275. Fowler Bald, total score of 87.1, for a total price of $714,530. Informed Alliance Architectural Studio, total score of 91.3, total price of $200,000, all excluding HST. Whereas Formed Alliance Architectural Studio had the highest score at 91.3, whereas there is funding approved in the Housing Accelerator Fund budget allocated for the permit-ready housing plans. Be it resolved that the Town of Stratford Permit-Ready Housing Plans project be awarded to Formed Alliance Architectural Studio for the price provided of $200,000, HST excluded. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning and Heritage Committee as discussed at a meeting held on November the 4th, 2024.
Do you have a seconder? Thank you. I'm not sure who got there. Councilor Chandler. Okay, discussion.
Councilor McDonald, perhaps could we get some clarity, just for my purpose, perhaps everyone else understands it more so than I do, but the phraseology to move forward with the identified initiatives designed to implement systematic changes to the town's planning and zoning bylaws to promote more housing developments. Just wonder if I can get an overview of what that entails as it relates to the Housing Accelerator Fund. I know we received the fund, there's certain criteria within the fund that in order to retain the funding, we're obligated to meet. But I also understand we're in the throes of an official plan and bylaw review. And I wouldn't want to see one overstepping the other based on a proposed urgency to utilize those funds before we're in a position to agree upon the bylaw changes, and may have no impact on that whatsoever, but I just would like some clarification on that in a particular section.
Yeah, for sure, and I'll provide my perspective on it, but I think Mr. Cornell's at the podium too, and I'd like to hear his perspective too. So, just so everyone's aware, as you're well aware, Councillor Dowling, we are undergoing the official plan review as well. That's in early stages with engagement that's being conducted, and I will say that that's actually one of the initiatives of the Housing Accelerator Fund too, because that's where that funding is coming from as well. So, Housing Accelerator Fund, I think, be fair to say that there's a broad umbrella that applies to systematic changes within our town in terms of the development regime. That would be mostly closely addressed with the language of, you know, your official plan review. But within that, certainly, there's a large number of other initiatives that we're looking to address. And I don't think that this necessarily puts the cart before the horse, because really the view of the permit-ready housing plans, it doesn't necessarily change anything with any specific zone. What it does is it provides a ready set menu of pre-approved housing plans to a developer that say they want, they have a, for instance, they have a lot in an R2 zone that they want to develop. We would be able to provide them with a menu of structures suitable for construction in that R2 zone. It wouldn't let them necessarily get ahead of any proposed zoning changes. It wouldn't allow them to short circuit any processes in that regard. Essentially, if a structure is approved for a certain zone already, then that just helps them get a shovel in the ground that much quicker. I'll ask Mr. Carnell for his thoughts. That's my understanding of what this does.
Thank you. Yeah, that's correct, Councilor McDonald. So yeah, when we submitted the application for the Housing Accelerator, we had to come up with 7 initiatives. And so one of the initiatives was creating a set of permit-ready plans that is basically to speed up planning applications and speed the process for those looking for the missing middle housing types, which is the duplexes, the semi-detaches, the townhouses, and the walk-up apartments. So like Councilor McDonald pointed to, it is not a change to the official plan. All of these houses, and the RFP was written in a way that all these housing plans are as approved as the current zoning bylaw. We did actually look at this as a 2-phase part, where we would do plans based on the current zoning bylaw, and then once the new bylaw comes into place at the end of the next year, we would look at reevaluating those designs based on potential changes to apartments and lot sizes. So yeah, as Councilor McDonald, that's correct. Yeah, we're not changing anything. We're just it's about, for those who maybe only have like 4 or 5 lots that maybe want to turn that into townhouse development, it speeded the process for them. I think townhouses are about 1.5 million. So if you putting 12% of design fees, that's considerable. But whereas we can come up, it's going to be about 3 different designs with some slight changes on the exterior for a significant cost less than what they would be expected to from an architectural process. So it's, yeah.
So this is one of the initiatives that was identified in the plan, which was approved by council.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to the point in regards to the official plan wasn't an initiative. The official plan is a result of 3 of the initiatives that we created, so that was looking at lot sizes and to do it, looking at lot sizes, building heights, and setbacks. So the result of those was required us to do an official plan amendment and zoning bylaw to change that, so we can implement those initiatives.
I appreciate that explanation. It's very detailed, and I appreciate it. And I think it goes back to what I said earlier, but us having to do some reimagining as we move forward with this process. And I think it's important for us all to kind of keep abreast. And it's difficult to do in some cases, but keep abreast of those changes as they come. And really, I anticipate the more significant components of those changes won't be until we get into more detailed discussions with the company that we've contracted to do our official plan review. And that's where we'll really have to take a hard look at all of the areas of the community and make decisions on what's going where. But I do like this in concept. We want to make it easier for developers. And, because kind of, I liken it kind of to the form-based code initiative that we had earlier. It's, very clean, straightforward, easier to manage by staff and the developers. So I appreciate that input, though.
Thanks. Any other comments or questions?
I just got one when Scott's up there. With the official plan, are we coming first with the official plan, and where is Shape Stratford, and where are the short-term rentals?
Okay.
That's a lot.
So that's a lot of questions.
Yeah, no, that's, I can understand where it's coming from in layman's term here. Like, we're talking about the official plan, then we have Shape Stratford, then we're looking at a bylaw for short-term rentals.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might ask Wendy for one of those, but the official plan, we've currently, so Upland Studio, who's done a lot of work on the town.
Yeah, I understand that.
Is just finishing off their visioning kind of initiative. So they're going up to the stakeholders and they're reaching out to businesses and reaching out to yourselves and having conversations. So they will be providing us with what we heard report by the end of this year, and then they'll start the public engagement. And I think they have about 6 or 7 workshops planned for late January and around February. So there'll be a lot of public engagement at that point for the official plan and the zoning bylaw, and then they'll take the summer to draft the new amendment in that point. For the short-term rental, we are currently. Oh, I'm going to get back to that one. Okay. And the short-term rental, we've just having a public open house on that on the 20th of this next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, yeah. Okay. So we have ATN Strategies out of Halifax, who were approved for the RFP process to do that new bylaw, and so they're just currently doing the same thing. They're doing the visioning. There'll be a public survey coming out this weekend, hopefully, and then there'll be a public open house next week. And so that's where we're moving forward with that. And the idea is that we should have the bylaw in place for the spring for that one. And then for Shape Stratford, I think Wendy's pointed to you, the councils in a previous email, is that we're being asked by we're having some conversations with CMHC about looking at new ways of looking at Shape Stratford and how that can be rolled out in a different way. But I can get Wendy to speak to that a bit more.
I just had one. Oh, Wendy's coming. Sorry, you go ahead. No, mine, I didn't realize you were coming.
Okay. Just, I guess, are you looking for sort of like the background on where Shape Stratford fits into all of this? Is that kind of your question? So, yeah, no, that's okay. So Shape Stratford was a project that was unrelated to anything else that we were doing at the time.
Okay.
So it was to take a look at the community, have those conversations that aren't related to specific developments, because we've all seen kind of how those go. And we have one particular development, there's feelings very, attached to that area. So this was to have a wider conversation to talk about what the needs of the community are and to sort of set us up for that official plan conversation that was coming next. So we're still using Shape Stratford, some of the tools that were developed and things like that within it. Like it's a permanent fixture as sort of part of who we are now. But it's not necessarily driving the work, I guess. But it set us up for what the work that we're going through right now.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No, thank you.
Yeah, and sorry, I just that a lot of what was done in this research from Shape Stratford kind of directed how the housing accelerator initiatives were drafted and reflected in that as well.
Okay, thank you.
My comment, and it's just nitpicky, I agree with this resolution would support, I love the idea of ready-made plans. The language in the paragraph where the town council passed a resolution, Housing Accelerator Fund, to move forward with the identified initiatives designed to implement systemic changes. I feel like that's slightly confusing or maybe unnecessary in the way it's laid out, because we don't include the identified initiatives here within the thing. And it just sounds like it for a second sounds like we're agreeing to more than we are. Does that make sense to anyone?
I understand, but I guess I use
Or I just wonder if we
some of the
could-
same text that we've done in the previous ones to reflect that current.
To move forward, or like the Housing Accelerator Fund, to promote more housing developments and remove the inefficiencies and obstacles to diverse housing typology. Anyway, minor, but
Do you want to, are you making an amendment?
I'm not sure if anyone else sees any flaw in that. It's not a huge flaw, it's just slightly confusing.
Well, can I, if I may, I think the language, I understand the intent of the language as well, and I agree with it. I think it's what the Housing Accelerator Fund language is. Like, I think, I don't think it means we're committing beyond anything what we intended. I think this is, to the Deputy Mayor's comment on the $10 day daycare, this is another federal initiative that I think is a good one, where, you know, where we're setting the rules, like the form-based codes, we're saying this is what is acceptable here. We're gonna get out of the way, and as long as you fit the parameters, our staff are gonna, you know, help move this along. So I don't have any issue with the language. I think it'll be nice to have this, you know, I will be voting in favor, so we can check that off of our housing accelerator. I think the language is important, to be honest, Councillor.
Great.
And I do applaud, just one last thing, Scott, the summer email you provided us a little late last week, I guess, was excellent, just to kind of bring us all back to where we need to be on this, and really laid out all the points on the process and where we're going. So I do want to thank you for that, and again, I am in favor. Thanks.
Okay, any other comments or questions? And I understand what you're saying, Councillor. I think there is, depends on how you approach it, but I think Councillor Jackson's point is important, that the language that's used in the actual application for the Accelerator Fund and what is, it has to be a match, and I guess it depends on your interpretation, but I think there is a verb that has an object that to me is clear, but maybe if you interpret, you know, the design to implement systematic changes to the town's planning and zoning bylaws, and my understanding was that, you know, the whole intent of the Shape Stratford part of, which was a precursor to the Housing Accelerator Fund, was to identify barriers and to look at ways of mitigating those barriers towards putting housing in place more quickly and more efficiently, and to promote more housing developments and remove the inefficiencies. So there was an efficiency aspect to maybe not the Housing Accelerator Fund, but more the Shape Stratford side of things, and obstacles to the diverse housing typology. That was, I guess, the obstacles to housing in general, I guess, would be clearer, but diverse housing typology is important, I guess, because we were looking for affordable housing and housing for all income groups as part of that initiative. So all that to say, I guess it's there's a lot in that phraseology, and but there is a background to it.
Oh, and I understand that, but that's all within the Housing Accelerator Fund resolution that we passed. All of that language exists in that resolution, right? So all I'm referencing is that it exists there. So where we reference identified initiatives, but we don't list them, we just don't have to say that. That's all. It's fine. It's good.
You
It's
okay?
good.
All right.
Yep, it's good.
Okay, any other comments or questions before we proceed to the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried.
Again, thanks, Scott, for all the work on that one. Do appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, next one, 12F. And G are sort of interrelated, but we have to do F first. So, resolution PH 032-2024, A001-24 from JDLB Holdings, zoning bylaw text amendment. This is the addition of a new use called stacked semi-detached dwellings into the medium-density residential R2 zone. This is the second reading of this proposed bylaw amendment. Comes from Planning Development Heritage, is moved by myself as chair of that department. Whereas an application has been received from JDLB Holdings Incorporated, requesting to add several text amendments to the Town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw number 45, involving the addition of a definition for a new use called, quote, stacked semi-detached dwelling, the addition of the use, quote, stacked semi-detached dwelling into medium-density residential R2 zone as a special permit use, and the addition of lot development and parking standards for stacked semi-detached dwellings. And whereas, in accordance with the Stratford zoning and development bylaw number 45, notice of this amendment application and public meeting occurred through the placement of an advertisement in the local Guardian newspaper on two separate editions, being August 31st and September 7th. And notice of the public meeting was also posted on the town's Facebook page. And whereas a public meeting was held on September 12th, 2024 at 7 p.m., with only 2 residents in attendance. This public meeting was also live streamed on the town's Facebook and YouTube sites. Residents were given until September 23rd, 2024 to submit their comments. And whereas planning staff received no response letters from residents or landowners, be it resolved that bylaw number 45Q, which is a bylaw to amend the Town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw number 45, be hereby read and approved a second time. This resolution bears the recommendations of the Planning and Heritage Committee as discussed at meetings held on October 1st, 2024 and November 4th, 2024.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Sure. Oh, who? I don't know who's. Councillor Cox, thank you. Okay, discussion. I
So-
guess we, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, we have discussed this, you're right, in the past. I mean, I think we've had some excellent discussions and some really good questions from council, as well as those at Planning Committee. I think just to bring it home and to understand the scope, I think, of the proposed amendment, I wonder if we could bring up 9B3, which is the current R2 zones on the screen. So these are the R2 zones currently as they exist in the town of Stratford. So just to understand the scope of the ask, this proposed text amendment to our bylaw with the addition of this use does have, at a minimum, the potential to go into these zones within the town. That being said, certainly not every lot in an R2 zone is going to be capable of supporting this use. And that comes down to the development standards, the lot standards, as well as the parking standards. The reality is only certain size lots in certain areas are really going to be able to support a development of this type in any event. And because it is somewhat of a novel use, and it does certainly have the potential to increase densification in any existing zone, because it does have the potential to add 4 units to what might otherwise be potentially 2 units or even 1 unit, depending on the case. So it's designed, as we can all recall, as a special permit use. And that means there's a lot of procedural steps that have to go along the way before it gets approved. There'd have to be a public meeting, there'd have to go to council for its review before any type of development of this nature has to go through. So a lot of important procedural safeguards are in place to make sure that we're protecting these existing R2 zones, protect these neighborhoods, and where appropriate, to approve their use. So I just wanted to give that update and kind of provide that overview of the R2 zones as to where this might go.
Question on parking, Councilor McDonald. Parking now, the R2 is 1.5, right?
Yes.
And now this unit is 4 units. Would that be
It
how?
has to be, let me check the parking here. I think it's in our, Actually, I don't know, I don't have that off the top of my head. Is it 2 per? 2 per unit,
2 per unit? Okay.
yeah. So
So it'd be eight parking spots.
it would, you know, I mean,
Yep.
you have to take that into account too.
Yeah.
That, you know, to really be a satisfactory, and nobody, I imagine at this council is going to allow like basically an 8-lot parking lot in the front of a development, you know what I mean? So I mean, it's really going to be fairly specific areas that we're looking at for this type of development, yeah. And the parking, from what I can recall, Mr. McGeegan and Mr. Ruff, we're at the highest for any type of proposed development. Because we do appreciate parking is an issue in the town. We want to make sure that that's addressed on the front end. We want to make sure that we're not getting into a situation where we're shoehorning in things where cars are all over the roads and residents are unhappy. Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? So this is for second reading, and the next resolution will be for adoption. So I'll call for the question then. All those in favor? Aye. Those against?
Yeah, I certainly vote in favor.
You're against it?
No, wouldn't do that to the staff.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Okay. Always.
Okay, and here,
Now, 12G, Resolution PH 033-2024, which is A001-24 JDLB Holdings, zoning bylaw text amendment, the addition of the new use called stacked semi-detached dwellings into the medium-density residential R2 zone adoption. Comes from Planning, Development, and Heritage, and is moved by myself as chair of that department. Whereas bylaw number 45Q, a bylaw to amend the town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw number 45 was read and approved for a first time on October 9th, 2024. And whereas bylaw number 45Q, a bylaw to amend the town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw number 45 was read and approved a second time on November 13th, 2024. Be it resolved that bylaw number 45Q, a bylaw to amend the town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw number 45, be hereby adopted, and that the mayor and chief administrative officer be authorized to affix their signatures and the corporate seal of the town thereto, and to be formally declared the said bylaw passed. This resolution bears the recommendations of the Planning and Heritage Committee as discussed at meetings held on October 1st, 2024, and November 4th, 2024.
seconder? Thank you, Councilor Jackson. All right, any discussion on this? Guess we've already had a good discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried. Thank you, Councilor McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That concludes my presentation here this evening.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move on to infrastructure. I'll call for Deputy Mayor, who chairs that, Deputy Mayor Gallant, who chairs that committee, to give his report.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. Some of the construction installation activity continues while the weather holds, but we'll be finishing up soon for winter season, including paving on the community campus, force main extension project in Kinloch Road, and completion of the solar projects at the Emergency Service Center and maintenance building on Hollows Avenue. Design for the multi-use path along Glen Stewart Drive was awarded to CBCL, and this work was begun with the construction to take place in the summer of 2025. Continued coordination with the consultant preparing design for Reeves Estate water main replacement and sewer lift station decommissioning. Complete the replacement of outdoor showers at T Hill with funds received from the PEI Beach Infrastructure Program. The building is now shut down for the winter, but we'll be having new showers in operation for next summer. Planning for launching the sump pump redirection program has begun. This is a planning program by the Climate Change Fund that will provide rebates to eligible property owners who currently have sump pump connected to the sewer system to have it properly directed to the exterior of the building. As an incentive to register for the program, the installation of battery backup sump pump would be included in the rebate. An RFP has been sent out for the design of the decommissioning of the Aptos sewage lift station, and upgrades to the Sachem sewage lift station was issued and closing on November 15th of this year. Infrastructure staff is busy with the following: assisting with funding application, participating in Act for Transportation Summit held at the Emergency Service Center, coordinating line painting in Town Hall and Pondside Park parking lots. Mowers have been cleaned and serviced and stored for the winter. Snow removal equipment has been ready for the season. Preparing for Christmas decorations displays is underway. Preliminary work in terms of additional power, ground stakes and anchors, lights and poles, and buildings taking place will continue throughout November. Assisting with plans for light up and Tonight, Santa Claus Parade, winterizing and closing of buildings, trail maintenance and repair is ongoing, fire hydrant maintenance continues, water main flushing is underway, and the gravity sewer flushing lift station is cleaning continues. All sewer laterals requiring seasonal maintenance have been jetted and flushed. Water meter removal and water turnoffs at cottages and other seasonal premises continues. Water and sewer inspections, meter installations, and water turn-ons for new development are ongoing. Managing ongoing customer and resident inquiries and concerns. And during the month of October, there was no major sewer or water emergencies. 3 minor blockages on utility-owned portions of sewer laterals, and a report on which 2 have been addressed by installing clean-out access. The third is waiting for further investigation. And this report submitted by myself here.
Thank you for your report.
Yeah.
I want to compliment, it's a really busy time for infrastructure. I want to compliment the staff on all the work that was done, especially things like the solar panels on the emergency services building. I think that's going to save us money, and look forward to seeing a reduction in those electricity bills. They're big bills that we pay every month, and look forward to seeing those go down a little bit. Also on the Pondside Park, I think the paving that was done there, it changes the whole character of the park, and
Exactly.
It finally finishes it off, and
Yeah.
all the work that was done to do the excavation and the culvert work, I think it was first rate. Yeah, I think there's so many improvements that have been done in the infrastructure of the town, you know, and it's all been well managed. It's sort of like electricity. It happens, and nothing bad happens, and nobody notices, but I think we're really noticing the improvements, and they're great to see.
Yeah. Like Jeannie was dipping in the funds there, the PEI beach infrastructure program. We had problems with the showers, outdoor showers was, you know, had a few complaints on it, but Jeannie dipped into that fund and rectified that problem. It was great to see that. Yeah. You know, and down T Hill Park, the outdoor showers, right? It was a must. Like a lot of people come up from the beach and so on, and walking their dogs and clean their feet and so on, and it's just a little national park down there.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, no, it's really good to see. A lot of these things have been, you know, we've been waiting for a while for them, but it's nice to see them finally completed.
Yep. And then, of course, now putting up Christmas lights. I know that talking to the staff at Shane Roberts and crew, they were putting up and got ahead of it on a nice warm day and got the lights up before it was too freezing. Like a day like this, it's pretty cold.
That,
yeah, so it was nice to see and getting there, moving ahead that way. So,
yeah.
Just a comment, Your Worship. I think, you know, it's easy for us all to take for granted things like water and sewer. They're there, ready access to us, and have been many, many years, and we're all accustomed to it. We don't often give appreciation or gain an appreciation of the detail and effort that's required in maintaining those systems, and in particular in areas like mitigating risk to our water system and ensuring that our sewer system works efficiently, and methodologies to reduce our consumption of water, so on and so forth. So I think staff do a tremendous job. When you see it laid out like this, you know, gives you an understanding of just how much work goes into all of those different services. And so we're getting a very good bang for our buck in that respect.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that's true.
another thing too is coming December and Christmas and so on, our trails. So hopefully our trails are going to be looked after, our outdoor trails, because it's great for mental health and people like Cotton Park and so on, and walking through and keeping our trails. If we can clean them out and have their proper equipment, and if we need equipment, and we're probably at budget meeting, we'll vote for it. So, but I hear a lot of comments of people getting out and during the winter festive season and wanting to get out of their house and walk the trails, and how the summer trails itself, a lot of positive comments on the summer trails, like from yourself and Jeremy Pierce and so on, and how our trails and our walking and bicycle trails and so on. It's just people just want to get out.
Okay, any other comments or questions on infrastructure report? Okay, we'll now move on to, thank you very much for your report.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Deputy Mayor. And if I can find my, where is it? Oh, here we go. Okay, Sustainability, Committee of the Whole, is there anything, Committee of the Whole, CO? No? Jeremy, no? Okay, I'll now call on Councillor Cox, who chairs the Sustainability Committee, to give his report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just note the Stratford Community Garden is now closed for the season. This season, we partnered with Meals on Wheels, and the produce out of the town's garden plot was donated. Produce out of the town's garden plot was donated to support the Meals on Wheels efforts. Thanks to the Meals on Wheels volunteers who regularly harvest it from the plot. Close to 200 individual servings of assorted vegetables were delivered to clients over the summer months. The partnership resulted in fresh, locally grown produce available to those in need and helping with the community involvement and supporting residents. So thanks to all the volunteers for their help, support with that. The official plan review and discussion with the town's consultant following the request of the Sustainability Committee to meet with the consultants. Invitation with 2 dates to select between was offered to all town committee members. This opportunity allowed resident committee members to have their input in the official plan. The business community members of the Stratford business community had an opportunity to participate in the official plan review with a survey designed for business members. The town's annual business survey will be open this month, and we look forward to hearing from the business community on variety of topics. Diversity and inclusion updates. The primary focus of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee continues to be the town's anniversary project, a legacy book for the upcoming 30th anniversary of the town, which will feature the stories of 30 residents recorded and written by 30 youth as an intergenerational project. Nominations continue. However, as time gets tighter, the interviews and writing are also getting underway. Just a side note there, I registered this past week for the FCM Sustainability Communities Conference, which will be in Fredericton, February 10th, 13th. This brings together sustainable practitioners from across the country to learn from each other and share actionable solutions towards best practices in local sustainability, affordable housing, climate adaptation, etc. The keynote speaker for this I thought was great is Laura Lynch, the award-winning journalist and the host of CBC What on Earth. So that's a really good guest speaker to have. This past week, I wanted to gather some more information, so I talked to Harold Phillips, the energy efficiency consultant with Greenfoot, just about if people are looking to put heat pumps or to put hot water heaters or whatever in their houses, if there's anything new from governments or anything that I should be aware of, kind of thing. And he said basically it's the same programs that was rolled out by the provincial government and efficiency PEI, where anyone can get a $1,200 rebate, or if you're from a low income, $2,400 rebate. And if you have less than $100,000 income in your household of 1 to 3 individuals, then you qualify for a free heat pump. That's still in place. And also there's interest-free payment plans are still in place right now too. So it's still an opportunity to for residents to look at putting heat pumps into their houses. Although we had a second go at the switch program. Right now we don't have a third one underway, obviously, but there is still some great initiatives there from the government that people should look into. Also, just a reminder to pick LED Christmas lights, like any regular LED lights. Strands of Christmas lights with these bulbs use far less energy than the old school incandescent bulbs, and there's 80 to 90% less energy. This allows more strands of lights to be strung together without overloading a circuit. So we should all try to upgrade our Christmas bulbs to LED. It's a very sustainable practice. And that's my report.
Thank you. Thank you for your report. And thank you for all the initiatives that are saving energy in the town. I think staff have, getting the solar panels on the emergency services building, and there's a lot of really important steps forward in the sustainability file. So, and there's also the business sustainability side, the fiscal sustainability side, that new businesses are coming here, and more people are looking to locate. I know the business park is, you know, there's a lot of interest in the vacancy, you know, the new lots in the business park. And so things are looking good on both fronts, on the environmental side and on the business side. So it's great to see, and, you know, it's because of yourself and because of staff that are working together, and council in general, to get these improvements made.
Yeah,
so thank you for that. Any other comments or questions on sustainability? Okay, I'll move on to my report, Intergovernmental Affairs. And I just want to make clear that it's intergovernmental affairs, engagement, and accountability. And like I've been in most of the discussion lately has been around the intergovernmental affairs part, because that is really where, you know, the most important initiatives are right now. But in the new year, I really want to concentrate on the accountability side and on the engagement side, to really look at, you know, looking at how our engagement plan and strategy, and looking at the accountability, the key performance indicators, and how we're doing in those respects. So with the new committee, I would really like to, you know, really have an emphasis on that, as well as on the intergovernmental side. I think there's nothing to take away from the intergovernmental side, because I think that's very important, the relationships we have with other levels of government. But I think it's equally important to make sure we're doing everything we can to engage our residents at every opportunity, and to be accountable for and be transparent with our residents about how we're doing with regard to the goals that we've been set, that have been set, and with the plans that we've made. The minutes of our meeting of the 5th of October are in your package. There's good discussion about some of our major initiatives, and the Shape Stratford initiative, the survey. I think it was another successful survey this year, that we were able to get close to 1,000 responses, which is a very valid sample size, and gives us some really good information about how people feel about the work that we're doing as a council, and as what we're doing as a town, and the directions that we're going, and gives us some answers or some direction on some of the key questions around some of the things that we're working on, like street vendors and short-term rentals and that sort of thing. We did have a capital area mayor's meeting. There was an agreement on a couple of areas: wellfield protection, transit, and infrastructure funding, and also, you know, the Charlottetown actually has a real issue, and it's a matter of time with us too, islanders with complex needs, and the impact that has on communities, and strategies that work in other jurisdictions that we can learn from, and also the recent experience of some of the municipalities on PEI, because it's a matter of time. In our case, you know, probably we'll be dealing with that sort of situation as we become a city. Climate adaptation, the plan that's been put in place, and the stormwater management plan overall. It's whether, you know, maybe you know, backup power at pumping stations. I know this was a priority of Councilor McDonald when he first joined council, and I think we now have that in place, including portable generators. It's not ideal, but we do have it in a couple of major pumping stations. We do have backup power. We're working towards addressing that. The funding issues around the community campus, we're still waiting for you know, any indication. We have applications in for funding with the federal government. We're hoping to hear soon. I provided updates on the Canadian municipalities, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities meetings that I've attended, and some of the important initiatives that they've got underway, the biggest of which is probably the Municipal Growth Framework, which really is trying to lobby government to provide sustainable funding for municipalities across the country so that they can fulfill their mandate as municipalities. And every municipality in every province is dealing with the same issues, that they don't receive enough funding to do what they need to do and to fulfill their responsibilities under the Constitution. We've already talked about the new HR coordinator and revenue sharing. We've already discussed that. Charlottetown and Area Transit Coordinating Committee, I think CAO Crosby, there's nothing new on that since the meeting. Is there anything you want to say about that? I think there was an announcement today about the 4 electric buses. Charlottetown Council.
Yeah, there will be some more information coming on that. There is an increase in the amount that they need for the funding for the buses, so I will be bringing something forward to that to the next Safety Services Committee meeting, and then on to council after that. So there probably will be some extra funds that we need to contribute. Not as much as Charlottetown, but our 15%. So
yeah.
The price of electric buses continues to increase, so it's like everything else.
But the supply chain issues are becoming resolved, I guess.
I think the supply chain issues, but just, cost of living and cost of materials and the interest in batteries and stuff like that is increased the electrical components of the buses, so we're seeing those increases passed on to us, so. They're helping out, yep. They are, yeah. There is, but what we originally budgeted, it's about $1 million more than we expected.
And just further on, while you're up there, we are attempting to get another meeting with Minister McCauley about our request for funding and trying to get a status report on where that's at and when we can expect to hear, because as soon as we get an indication of that, it's going to unleash or unlock a lot of, initiatives, and we're going to be able to move forward really quickly. We can have shovels in the ground, and hopefully in the spring if we can get a funding announcement soon. But
yeah, we've been in contact with Minister McCauley's office, and I think they're going on break here shortly, so he may be returning, and they're trying to get us in for a meeting here very shortly.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
That's great to hear. Okay, any comments or questions on my report?
Just comment that it's good to see that in relation to transit, that it's being kept to the forefront in relation to expansion of routes within the town. It's going to be more and more important as the community continues to grow. And in particular, I'm glad to see that the on-demand component is still being considered pending funding. So we don't want to lose sight of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor. Just making sure I didn't miss anything. When I was looking at business arising from the minutes on the intergovernmental affairs and accountability, with respect to the annual resident survey, said that the responses are in, just waiting for comments from council. I didn't miss anything in that regard, did I? We haven't received anything. I see Wendy there.
Yeah, that went out last month to council. No comments were received back, so I have a release ready to draft and send out. It went out following, well, they did a presentation to us, and then following that, it was sent around to council. I can resend it quickly, but my intent was to release it next week.
Anyway. I confess, I don't.
It's all right, there's a lot of stuff that comes out, so.
Yeah.
I'll forward it here.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yep. Just the
Time will
other,
be of the essence, though, if anyone has any concerns, because it is the report. I've signed off on the report based on not having any feedback, so.
yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And I will absolutely undertake just to make sure that if I'm going to send you anything, it'll be 24 hours or less, but I just want to make sure I didn't miss that, but I apparently did, so there you go. Islanders with complex needs. So I saw that in the minutes. All I'll say at this point in time is certainly, I think it's incumbent upon us to just keep that on the agenda, and I'd like to see that, hopefully an update, hopefully some integration there with safety services, about where we're at with all of that, just to make sure we've got a scope of the issue. Because I think the more data we have about this stuff, if we have to make decisions down the road, we'll be in a better position to do so. So
Yeah.
glad to see that's there. I think that certainly falls within the ambit of accountability, but also, you know, a lot of overlap there, safety services and housing, things like that, so.
Yeah, and we have to prepare for the future
Yeah.
and any you know, hopefully it doesn't come to that there's resolutions of some of the issues that are causing that issue to be so difficult to deal with. But anyway, Councillor Jackson.
Yeah, if I may, and thanks, Councillor McDonald, for that. It is a topic that's, I would say, discussed at every safety services meeting, just with respect to access to services for folks with complex needs. And we're speaking of folks who may be unhoused or you know, with potential addiction issues. So what we've been doing is trying to keep an eye out there. If there are groups or encampments or anything happening, we don't have the services for folks right now in Stratford, and it is right across the bridge. So what we're doing with staff, I know our staff have been out to different encampments and different things, just trying to let folks know where their services are, and our CMP are watching just for their own safety as well, just so that we don't have you know, fires in places where you know, we all remember what happened in Sherwood Greens and things like that. So we don't want to see that happen again. So it is discussed at every safety service meeting. We do, I know, check in with RCMP every time I do see them, but I know our staff are in constant contact with them if something does come up where we see that. And again, just trying to redirect folks to where the services are for them. So I think it's been going, you know, fairly well, but it's a constant thing for us to monitor.
I do appreciate staff's effort. Thank you for that.
Okay, any other comments or questions on my report? Okay, we'll move on to inquiries by members of council. Is there anything about the town that anyone would like to inquire about? Okay, we'll move on to other committees. Stratford Seniors Complex, chair of that committee, Deputy Mayor Gallant, to give his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. Date November 7th. Still waiting for the building assessment report from Coles. The draft report was supposed to be done by mid-September. The budget for 2025 is currently being worked on. We currently have 2 vacant units. Both tenants have moved to long-term care homes. Both vacant units are being painted and ready for new tenants. We are in the process of contacting people on our waiting list to view the vacant units. We've asked Wendy to post some notices on social media to get some more applications on file. The fire alarm testing has been completed, and we are waiting to get the annual inspection completed on the generator. And right now, there's currently 26 people on the waiting list there. So it's a great job there by Kim and maintenance Steve there at this location. I mean, it's sort of, we always talk around the table about more senior housing and for the town of Stratford for low-income seniors. It's a need. I mean, these people with not with their own pensions have to rely on the federal government, I guess, with the old age security and CP, or maybe some not even CPP. So it helps the process here with people at low income and so on. So it's really a nice facility. But I mean, we always have the appetite of talking around the table, committee of the holes or budget time, moving forward. I mean, be nice to have support from the federal government and talk some issues and provincial government and on these something down the road. So as a town has grown, there's going to be more seniors. So you know, it's just.
I think that's a very good point, and I think it's something we need to be really have our eyes open for any possibilities of funding for, because we've been talking about this for quite a while, and I know I've mentioned it to different levels of government, and it's a kind of thing that I think we need to have discussions with CMHC, and maybe if I could ask Director of Finance O'Connell if there's any possibility of having discussions with CMHC to see if we can you know, find some funding or find some source of possible funding, even if it's for the next, you know, over the next 5 years or 4 years or something, that because as we grow, there's going to be more of a demand, and our capacity for seniors' low-income funding or low-income housing has remained the same since we've been a town, basically. You know, we don't have any more capacity now than when we were 4,500. So we're now 12,000 people. So I would think that we should hopefully be able to get some funding, you know, with using the same model or some sort of model that would allow us. And I understand that the agreement for this complex has just been extended. Is that correct?
Yes, like we have to enter into a new agreement with them, but they're extending.
Okay. So anyway, I guess I'll just put that on the table as something that we need to follow up on, maybe. Maybe CAO Crosby has some information for us.
I can't speak from the federal government or CMHC side, but we did have a conversation with one of our MLAs here recently about the piece of land that we have on the Trans-Canada Highway, and seniors facility was brought up as a potential use for that, along with medical center or child care facility. So there's various options that they're looking at, but that was brought up.
Okay,
So I don't know where that'll go from here, but at least it was mentioned.
That's great. Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks. Good to hear. Any other comments or questions for Deputy Mayor Gallant? Oh, Councilor Jackson.
Just one. Appreciating there's a lot of things that could be done with that land. But if that's not possible, it'd be nice if we could explore at some point or get some funding to look at purchasing somewhere some pre-existing buildings. Because I know, like, since I've been around here in 2017 and off for 4 years, like Mayor Ogden said, those numbers have been constant, essentially, and the need for the type of senior housing that we do offer. So I think it is important to explore whatever options we might be able to do that. I know just looking at it, there's either our building or St. John House, and I don't think there's anything else in Stratford for seniors that's even close to that affordable. And it's nobody's fault, but it's a gap for us, and I think it's something we should look at. I know we talk about it every meeting essentially, but you know, if the province is you know, seeking or suggesting that's a priority, I would agree, and maybe there's something they can help us with in that regard. Because we had 26 people, I think it was 45 at one point around that list. We definitely have the need there, and rent geared income, not CMHC, hopefully a provincial program rather than the federal one, but whatever we could do to explore that would be great.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Well, this here, with our model, it's a working model, and it's working great.
Yeah.
You know, and that's everybody should jump on board and say, listen, oh, what's Stratford doing? Oh, well, here it is, this works, right?
Invest in success, yeah.
You know, and so hopefully, like I say, our federal or provincial be interested in, like CEO Crosby said, we have land there, so, you know, it's just, you know, it's like, sometimes you shake your head. I mean, the switch program worked, and I don't want to do a switch program. You know, it worked.
I know.
So it's you just say, you know, when something works, you know. But anyways, this, you know, it's, you're seeing more seniors going to the food bank now, and you're seeing, it's tough out there now. It's really tough, you know, just getting by and pay your bills and probably put a few things in your fridge, right? So it's tough out there, so it's be nice to, I know everybody around the table, I know Jody talks about it, and everybody, councillors and Ronnie, and then Gordy and Jill, and everybody else talks about it, and, you know, maybe we'll put something together and have some substance to it, and, you know.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have some definition to, you know, what we need and make the case with the decision makers around, you know, we need data, we need, you know, we need to identify the demand, and we need to identify the benefits, and the need it'll fill, and the problems it'll prevent for, you know, for our community and for the island in general, because there is a great need out there, and if we can find a way to meet that need, I think it'd be a benefit for everybody.
Yeah, and I think just the final point on that, I shared that when I had my interview with the folks for the official plan, kind of talking about the gaps or some areas where we, you know, there's some things we could do. That's probably the big one. So I'm hoping other folks, especially residents, when we get into the further discussions on this, we'll identify that, because, I mean, that could open up homes for young families. If, you know, seniors have somewhere they can go that's affordable, less, you know, less onerous on upkeep and grass cutting and all that stuff, it will kind of trickle down to other folks, and I know it's easier said than done, but I think it's something that we shouldn't forget about when we're around the table discussing the official plan and how we, you know, find places, if it's our land or somebody else's, to allow that to happen, and hopefully incentivize it with the help of other partners.
Thank you. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, we'll move on to the next. Thank you for your report, Deputy Mayor. We'll now move on to appointments to committees. We'll be having a bunch pretty soon, but there are none this month. No proclamations. Any other business anyone would like to bring to the floor at this time?
I just wanted to highlight, not related to us, but this weekend in the town, it's the Christmas Craft Fair at Glen Stewart School. So that's a big fundraiser for the homeschool associations of both Stratford and Glen Stewart schools. And also the food drive,
Yep.
which is the Our Lady of Assumption and St. Joaquin's parishes,
Yep.
is this Saturday from 9 until 2, and that's the drive-through with drop-off locations. Sobeys, No Frills, the town, yes, Pownell, and the churches, I guess. I might be misinforming. Anyway, if people are able to participate, both great events.
Great, thank you. Any other business? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. So moved. We're now adjourned. Thank you.